If you're excited about the launch of Warhammer Age of Sigmar 4th edition this summer, but have no idea what is happening in the current lore, then this video series is for you. Join me as we take a look at the current narrative as it unfolds through the final days of Age of Sigmar 3rd edition into the Age of Ruin with Age of Sigmar 4th edition. The Dawnbringer Crusade is the finale of the ongoing narrative of Age of Sigmar 3rd edition. It's really exciting, full of defining battles where tales of hard-fought victory come on the back of gritty and realistic sacrifices, where the grand alliances pit against each other, vying for power to shape the mortal realms how they see fit. Against all of this, Sigmar remains absent, hidden away in Azir, dealing with the fallacy of his greatest creation. I'm Dave, this is Mazz Hobbies. Join me as we delve into the ongoing narrative of the Dawnbringers Crusade. Dawnbringer Crusades are nothing new in the mortal realms. Following the Age of Chaos, many of the great free cities launched Dawnbringer Crusades in Sigmar's name. The purpose of these crusades was clear: to reclaim the lands in the name of Sigmar, pushing back the ruinous powers of chaos and building great settlements on the newly discovered geomantic nexuses. These are points where the flow of primordial power through that mortal realm intersects and accumulates. The Dawnbringer Crusades brought together a mix of religious zealots, seasoned warriors, and criminals who sought to dodge the punishment for their crimes, each taking up the coin malleus, a financially worthless though honorific token, promising the bearer eternal honour amongst the Grand Alliance of Order, alongside the promise of generational land deeds in the eventual settlement. Life as a Dawnbringer was tough, as the Crusades ploughed on through the darkness of the mortal realms. Dawnbringers were often beset by the ruinous forces seeking to halt their passage, or opportunic forces of the Grand Alliance of Destruction, who sought nothing more than their eventual elimination. Most crusades ended up in failure, destroyed by chaos and destruction. Those that did succeed often faced the requirement to quell the rebellious local population and to secure these new settlements from near constant attack. While Sigmar sent his beloved creation, the Stormcast, to support the Crusades, the sheer volume of the Crusades stretched his forces to the limit, often needing to prioritize those Crusades in most need, reinforcing those settlements straining to hold back the forces of chaos and destruction. The near constant recycling of souls of the Stormcast who had fallen in battle and raised to Azir exposed the flaw in this majestic immortality. The flaw where on each cycle the Stormcast would lose a fragment of its soul, returning with less empathy and memories of its former existence. This flaw and how he would fix it preoccupies Sigmar, taking his gaze away from the protection of the realm. Hammerhall, the greatest city and spiritual capital of the followers of Sigmar, became the epicenter for what would shape the mortal realms going forward. Known as the Twin-Tailed City, it exists as two settlements, one in Akshi and one in Gyra, linked by the Storm Rift Realm Gate. Both halves, a complement to each other, are ruled by a singular conclave, representative of the vast myriad of off-worlders who call Hammerhall home. All agree that an outbreak of sedition against Sigmar, including defacing of a Sigmar mural with iconography of Archaon, served as a prelude to what would come. Shudderblight spread through the realms, manifesting first as an unshakable malaise of apathy, unshakable by punishment or religious fervour, Soon, sufferers became near pale with a waxy complexion and shambling gait. Insubordination turned to absolute apathy, rendering the sufferer near catatonic, willingly accepting capital punishment without complaint. Within the industrial heartbeat of Hammerhall Akshi, Armand Kalis and Hanover Toll, members of the Order of Azir, dedicated to wiping out the influence of dark powers wherever they may be, had been summoned to ensure that Shudderblight did not hamper the production of armaments for the Dawnbringer Crusades. A conflict was coming, and they were to ensure those on the side of order were equipped with the tools necessary for victory. In Hammerhall Gyra, Alariel, the Ever-Queen of the Sylvanet, sought to counter the Shudderblight through the summoning of the blessed waters of the pure inland Gyran seas as a deluge of rainfall. The rains cleansed away the curse of Shudderblight and caused unchecked growth and prosperity across the region. Whilst the curse of Shudderblight was lifted, the respite would prove only temporary. Unlike other contagions that spread through the mortal realms, this one had a very specific carrier. The Harbingers of Decay, mighty commanders of the Rotbringers' armies and dedicated servants of Nurgle, had been tasked to spread this Shudderblight throughout the mortal realms, though concentrating on Gyran, following the orders of a Varangard known as Her Highness in Ruin, or as Braxia, as we have recently found out. Following the orders of a Varangard known as Her Highness in Ruin, or Abraxia, as we have recently found out. This new right hand of Archaon himself sought to destabilize the mortal realms, rendering them weak for conquest. As Alariel's rains cleansed away the Shudderblight, the Harbingers of Decay called on the powers of a great unclean one, known as Rotgus Rainfather, who summoned all of his demonic power to create a deluge that spread both Shudderblight and turned the very organic matter it touched into a rotting and cursed goo. Trouble stirred within Hammerhell Gyran. Throughout the city, in caverns and warehouses, the stores of the abundant harvest were isolated from the cleansing rains of the Everqueen. Here amongst the rotting matter, foul and mutated insects, blessed by Nurgle, ran amok. Soon the city was swarmed with armies of Nurgle-blessed creatures. The matriarch of Hammerhall Gyra, Lady Nadian Greenspur, took the difficult decision to draw back military support for the settlements forged from the previous Dawnbringer Crusades, but protecting the city came at a great cost. Even with the support of the hallowed Knights of Sigmar, settlement upon settlement fell to the curse of Shudderblight and Nurgle's minions. Greenspur dispatched scouts who reported no sign of life but clear signs of battle, with half-eaten corpses strewn across the area and crude graffiti dubbed across the settlements in the blood of the fallen, with talk of noble Sir Gerion and Summer King. The stalling in the spread of Shudderblight across Gyra irked Abraxia, who dispatched the champion of the Harbingers of Decay, Folgoth the Miser, to investigate. Folgoth identified the epicenter of this apparent protection against the Shudderblight to be Furtherfield, a Sigmarite strongpoint built on a geomantic nexus during a previous Dawnbringer Crusade. Folgoth travelled to Furtherfield with the forces of Nurgle to continue the spread of Shudderblight and please Archaon's second. On arrival at Furtherfield, Folgoth found the settlement empty of inhabitants, waiting for their return at dusk. He was met not by the army of Sigmarites, but by legions of ghouls, deluded into the belief that they had rallied the local population to rise up against the source of this magical amaze. It was apparent that the ghouls led by the herald Sir Gerion counted a number of recently deceased Sigmarites amongst their ranks. Whilst Sir Gerion proclaimed that they had been too late to save the city of Stamethia, a long-fallen city whose ruins sat beneath Furtherfield, Fulgoth realised that this spread of madness was countering the effects of Shudderblight, and if this was allowed to spread unchecked, it would be negated. Whilst the ghouls had the numbers, the forces of Nurgle had the strength. As battle raged on and the forces of Nurgle became outnumbered, Fulgoth seized an opportunity to fight Sir Gerion 1-to-1. Fulgoth made quick work of the Herald, ploughing his Nurgle-blessed sword into the leader of the ghouls. He witnessed the spread of Nurgle's petulant disease in a death curse that would finish this once and for all. Then in an instant, Sir Gerion reached for one of the bone-like trinkets that adorned him, snapping it in half and letting out crimson energy that illuminated the battlefield. The power released by this action stunned the forces of Nurgle, while spurring on the ghouls of the Summer King. With numbers against them and the weakness brought on by this unexplainable power, Fulgoth led his forces to retreat from Furtherfield. Sir Gerion, spurred on by the power he now wielded, was cured of the pox and the wounds inflicted by the Harbinger. The pause in the spread of Shudderblight and distraction of the Harbingers by the ghouls gave the opening needed for the Hallowed Knights of Sigmar to reinforce those settlements outside of Hammerhall that had borne the brunt of the Shudderblight and Nurgle's forces. But the Harbingers of Decay were not just active in Gyra. Neither were the Sigils of the Summer King. Their opposing maladies spread throughout the mortal realms, dooming the forces and settlements of order to a never-ending cycle of Shudderblight and delusion. In Hammerhall, Ashkey, the Shudderblight spread throughout the industrial heartlands of the city. Without the blessed reins of Alariel to call up, the members of the city conclave took drastic measures. Xanta Faloria, the tempestuous archmage, oversaw the lighting of religious pyres to burn away anything deemed to be a corrupting influence. Zealotry ran through the city, and before long whole districts were ablaze from the unchecked, supposedly cleansing fires. Fiori, a Grimhold exile from an ancient magma hold that had been destroyed by Skaven, and bearer of the hold's master flame, was honour bound to protect the city of Hammerhall. Fiori had gathered a number of other Fireslayers to his cause, all of which had brought tales of large-scale Troggoth armies destroying their magma holds, led by an exceptionally large Troggoth with some kind of magic portal on his back. Fiori's concerns fell on deaf ears. The pressures of dealing with the spread of Shudderblight were much more acute than those concerns of the Fireslayers. Alongside this, reports of a swelling Grot's force, led by a rabble-rouser known as Braggett, was paving a path of destruction across Akshi, heading for Hammerhall. Braggett and his force found their way into the industrial heartlands of the city, where they took control of the city's glassworks, preventing the production of the bottles needed for storage of aqua garanis, a critical currency across the realms. The Conclave called upon Fiori for help, where he led his Fireslayers into the glassworks to deal with the Grots head-on. In the ensuing confrontation, Fiori released the power of the Master Flame, disintegrating Grots all around him whilst partially burning Braggett before he escaped into the tunnel network. With the imminent threats to both halves of Hammerhall subsiding, the Conclave decided to form two Dawnbringer Crusades, the size and scale beyond anything previously seen across the mortal realms. The Gyran Crusade would head into northern Verdia, to the mountains of the Neck, while the Akshi Crusade would head to eastern Capillaria, to better understand the disturbing trend of vanishing geomantic nexuses. This twin-tailed crusade would lead forth to settle new cities in the name of Sigmar and bring order to the realms. So we leave the Dawnbringers Crusade there for now, with the conclusion of the first book, Harbingers, Join us next time as we pick up the story with the Dawnbringer campaign with the second book, Reign of the Brute. Hammerhall has fought off some of its greatest challenges. Now is the time to forge forth into the realms and take Sigmar's light out into the darkness. So from me to you, I hope you have a good hobby journey. Bye for now.